Spreadsheets are great for gathering data, but not so great for sharing in genealogy software and online trees. Hello everyone, welcome back to the next installment of the Research Over My Shoulder series. If you're new here, in this series, I'm diving deep into the Ohio 133rd Volunteer Infantry Company K and the rest of the unit. I started researching just one ancestor and somehow ended up researching nearly all the men. If you've missed the previous videos, the links will be in the description below. But if you've been following all along, you know that in the last few videos, I wrapped up the preliminary research phase of the project in 2 weeks. I overcome genealogy guilt in 1.5 months by capturing citations. Everything's organized into a spreadsheet. But here's the thing. Spreadsheets are great for gathering data, but not so great for sharing in genealogy software and online trees. So the next step is turning all of that research into a GEDcom file, which is the most common format used by genealogy databases, particularly Family Tree Maker or Roots Magic. You can also upload a GEDcom file to genealogy research platforms like Ancestry, MyHeritage, and Find My Past. Here's where things got a little tricky for me. You'd think there would be plenty of tools out there to convert a spreadsheet into a GEDcom file, right? Well, not really, because very few genealogists do their research in spreadsheets. Now, there are some loyal spreadsheet users out there, and if you're one of them, I'm not ragging on you at all, but I want to know if you're in my audience, so be sure to say hello in the comments section below. So the need for converting a spreadsheet into GEDcom file is kind of limited. Most of the ones available also don't work for Google Sheets, which is of course the one that I use. Is that familiar to anyone? After a lot of trial and error, I landed on 2 tools that seemed promising to convert a spreadsheet to a GEDcom file. The first is called Gramps, and the next one's called Excel to GEDcom. Both have their pros and cons, and I want to walk you through what worked, what didn't, and how I eventually got the data into a usable format. Let's start with Gramps. It is a free genealogy tree building platform. One of the benefits of this software is that it's relatively straightforward platform. It's easy to follow, and you can convert your spreadsheet into a GEDcom file without too much fuss. You export your spreadsheet into a CSV file, so that it really doesn't matter which spreadsheet program you use to create the spreadsheet. As long as you can export to a CSV file, you can upload it to Gramps. However, it's really limited in what you can import. So my personal experiences is when I tried using Gramps, I had to cut down most of the columns in my military spreadsheet just to get the CSV export to work into the program. All I could really add were birth, marriage, and death dates. For a military-focused spreadsheet like mine, this was a big limitation. I couldn't include military service dates, pension records, or pre-war residence information. Basically, Gramps is great if you're just working with vital records and basic family relationships. If that's your focus, then I really do recommend Gramps. Give it a try. The next tool is called Excel to GEDcom. This was also a free tool, and it's an Excel spreadsheet with a macro for converting genealogy data into GEDcom formatted text file with a .ged file extension. The tool allows for importing more detailed information into your family tree program. This feature is great if, like me, you're tracking military records and other non-vital data. Then give Excel to GEDcom a try. However, if you haven't noticed already, there's a significant drawback in that it only works for Microsoft Excel. It's kind of obvious in the name of the tool. I typically use Google Sheets or LibreOffice, so I need to figure out how to make Excel work in my situation. But if you're already an Excel user, this is going to work for you. Here's where things got interesting. Since I didn't have Excel on my computer, I had to either see if a friend had Excel on their computer and see when I could go over to their house to use their computer to use their Excel file. That didn't always work out because everybody had a different schedule than mine. So instead, I did discover that my local library did have Microsoft Excel on their computer. So I couldn't really go in my pajamas while my family's asleep. So that's a serious downside. That's when I do a lot of research. I also do research at 5 o'clock in the morning before most people get up. And so now I needed to figure out when in my schedule I can put on clothes and head on to the library. But the good news is that Excel to GEDcom let me add the military facts and even resident details. The downside was I couldn't link sources to those specific events, but I could add some of the source citations to the birth, marriage, and death events, which is still pretty useful and saves me some time. One thing I had trouble was, and maybe it was just me, I'm not sure, but I had trouble keeping wives linked to their correct husbands, especially for men with multiple marriages, because I had the men and the wives all on one line, and then I'd have the wives in column 1, first wife, and then a column for second wives and their dates. So in Excel to GEDcom, each spouse needs to be on their own row, and then there are IDs for the men and the women, and you need to make sure in the column that links them to their spouse, you got to make sure you get the codes all right. It was a little bit tricky, I'm not going to lie. One thing I did use was I actually applied ChatGPT to help me take the line of text and then split the women, to extract the women and put them on their own line. The only problem was ChatGPT couldn't do the codes because I needed to put them in a spreadsheet, then see how the codes work, and then I could link everybody up. But I did use ChatGPT for a step or two. Hey, it's Devin. While editing this video, I tried to create tutorials on how to use the two tools, but remember, I don't have Excel on my computer, and so it was very difficult for me to create the Excel to GEDcom tutorial without the resources on my computer. So instead, I wrote written instructions on how to transform your spreadsheet into a GEDcom file using these two tools. The link for that instruction information is in the description box and will take you to the Family History Fanatics blog, and you'll see the written instructions. If I find a video tutorial someone else has done on how to make the conversion, I'll be sure to put that in the blog post, but I haven't found one for both tools, so if anybody knows of one, let me know. So which tool is right for you? Well, it depends on the type of data you're working with. If your spreadsheet is simple, birth, marriage, death dates, and basic family relationships, then I highly recommend Gramps. It is a little more straightforward for you. However, if you, like me, have a lot of data that is a little more confusing because it has extra facts like military service, residence, or pension records, and so forth, Excel to GEDcom gives more flexibility. Now, again, I realize very few of you will actually need to convert a spreadsheet to a GEDcom file in your genealogy journey, but if you ever do, it's important to know that these tools exist and they can actually save you a lot of time when you want to share your genealogy research. So what's in the next video? I'm going to show you how to take that newly created GEDcom file, upload it into software like Family Tree Maker or Roots Magic. I'll also walk through adding sources and other details that couldn't be imported because, let's be honest, no tool is perfect. If you've ever had to use Gramps or Excel to GEDcom, or if you're thinking about it, trying one of these tools, I'd love to hear from you, so leave a comment below with your experience or drop any questions you might have. I'm happy to help however I can. This has been Devin Noel Lee with Family History Fanatics, reminding you, if family history isn't fun, you're doing it wrong. But mistakes doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong and not having fun. Just as long as you keep learning. I'll see you in the next video.